General Mills is a landmark company in Lodi. It has been there for generations. KCRA3's Melinda Meza reports how the plant's closure will affect the city's economy.
How much do you think that this costs at the grocery store? How much do you think I just had to pay for this box of giant-sized Cheerios?
The General Mills plant once stood on the outskirts of Lodi 66 years ago, but over the years the city grew around it. Now the city has to find a way to continue to grow business without it.
The wheels are definitely turning. Yes, we're sad because that's 430 jobs and that hurts.
But Lodi's Chamber of Commerce is optimistic.
In its latest earnings report, General Mills made it clear it will emphasize short-term price cuts and promotions across many of its brands, including Totino's Pizza Rolls, Betty Crocker Fruit Snacks, and refrigerated baked goods, in hopes the Pillsbury Doughboy can help them squeeze out more sales.
The shocking news hit like a quiet tsunami. General Mills, once a proud pillar of the American economy, the very icon of the country's breakfast tables, is abandoning the United States. There was no public statement, no tearful farewell, no primetime coverage, just a cold, clinical SEC filing buried deep where only the most watchful could see. But the implications, they are catastrophic. And at the center of this collapse lies one man, Donald Trump. The seeds of this disaster were planted years ago when Trump, in his obsession with winning trade wars, set the American economy on a perilous path. His reckless tariffs on imported goods were sold to the public as a patriotic defense of American manufacturing. Instead, they strangled supply chains, raised input costs, and destabilized entire industries. General Mills, like many others, was ensnared in this mess. The cost of grains, packaging materials, and even transportation ballooned. Tariffs on imported aluminum and steel rippled into packaging costs. Tariffs on foreign grains and retaliatory duties from China distorted agricultural markets. The company struggled, forced to absorb skyrocketing costs while trying to maintain prices palatable for inflation-squeezed consumers. By 2023, cracks beneath General Mills' glossy earnings reports began to spread. Labor shortages plagued factories across America. Inflation, unleashed by reckless fiscal policies and poor economic leadership during Trump's term, gnawed at wages and purchasing power. Families were already reeling under rising grocery bills, and corporate America, led by companies like General Mills, could no longer shield itself. They desperately tried to hide the bleeding. Glossy social media campaigns, limited-time products, and upbeat interviews from CEO Jeff Harmening. But behind the stage, the machinery was falling apart. By late 2024, the illusion could no longer be maintained. Distribution networks faltered, warehouses failed to meet quotas, and deliveries slowed to a crawl. Consumers began noticing empty shelves. The cereal aisle, a place of nostalgic comfort for millions of Americans, became a haunting reminder of systemic failure. Online communities buzzed with panic. Why is my Walmart out of Cheerios again? Nature Valley bars gone for weeks. But this was no ordinary supply chain hiccup. It was the consequence of years of Trumpian economic sabotage. The tariffs were just the beginning. Trump's dismantling of regulatory agencies under the guise of deregulation allowed companies to chase profits at the cost of public safety. The FDA's 2025 report revealed the unthinkable. Roundup's glyphosate, a dangerous weed-killing chemical, had contaminated nearly all General Mills cereal products, including beloved brands like Cheerios, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Lucky Charms. The trust Americans had placed in their food supply was shattered. Lawsuits erupted. School districts, hospitals, and even the military severed contracts with General Mills. Families wept as they threw away once trusted foods, horrified that what was supposed to nourish their children had become toxic. While average Americans suffered, the corporate elite, enabled by Trump's tax giveaways to billionaires, cashed out. CEO Jeff Harmening sold millions in stock just as the internal chaos peaked. Other executives followed suit, unloading shares with the confidence that a full retreat was imminent. This was not a tragedy they stumbled into. It was a calculated exit. But why? The real answer was globalization on steroids, a system Trump pretended to oppose, but secretly greased for his rich friends. General Mills didn't collapse, it fled. Quietly, methodically, its investments shifted offshore. In Trump-friendly tax havens and deregulated foreign markets, new mega-facilities blossomed. In Mexico, India, Vietnam, and Brazil, billions were poured into new plants. These moves were facilitated by trade officials from the Trump administration who weakened food safety regulations and fast-tracked tax loopholes. With American laws gutted, General Mills could now produce food in countries with far laxer standards and re-import it into the United States without even changing the label. American consumers would unknowingly be fed products made under conditions that would never be tolerated at home. This was not business as usual. This was economic treason dressed up as free enterprise. Trump's trade war rhetoric masked his true allegiance to multinationals seeking maximum profit and zero accountability. He handed them the keys to abandon American workers while continuing to exploit American consumers. The supposed defender of American jobs had paved the way for their destruction. The human cost is devastating. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 700 workers lost their jobs as the iconic cereal plant shuttered. Many were second and third generation employees. They received no severance, just a hollow pamphlet titled Reimagining Your Future, with a phone number that now returns only busy signals. In Georgia, California, and Minnesota, once bustling plants stand empty, silent monuments to American decline. The ripple effects are immeasurable. Truckers without routes, farmers without buyers, and vendors without clients. Local economies gutted. Yet for General Mills' executives and Trump's billionaire class, the profits only grew. In fiscal 2024, General Mills' U.S. revenue stagnated, but profits from Asia-Pacific soared 19% and Latin America 13%. Investments in U.S. infrastructure collapsed by 40%, while foreign investments exploded. They moved faster than regulators, faster than public awareness, and faster than any organized resistance could form. $450 million quietly exited the U.S. economy in just 18 months, a financial heist disguised as corporate restructuring. And it didn't stop at manufacturing. Using transfer pricing tricks, intellectual property shell games, and tax havens championed during Trump's administration, General Mills ensured that profits made abroad would never be taxed in the U.S. Blue Buffalo's intellectual property, once headquartered in Connecticut, now rests in Luxembourg, where near zero tax rates guarantee more profit remains in corporate pockets. Annie's Homegrown, marketed as wholesome and American, operates from a hollow address in Ireland. This is the Trump economy, a paradise for corporations, a nightmare for workers. Meanwhile, families pay more for less. Inflation continues its assault, fueled by these very policies. Grocery bills skyrocket while wages stagnate. The government's safety nets, slashed under Trump's small government dogma, leave displaced workers scrambling. There is no Marshall Plan for Cedar Rapids or Covington. There's only economic rubble. Trump's defenders may shout that globalization is inevitable, that companies must adapt to global markets, but what they won't admit is that Trump promised the opposite. He promised to restore American manufacturing, to end offshoring, and to fight for the forgotten worker. Instead, his policies accelerated corporate exodus, handed out tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy, and dismantled protections for ordinary Americans. The betrayal is total. And yet, the worst betrayal may be the loss of trust. General Mills wasn't just a corporation, it was a part of American culture. Its brands have filled lunchboxes, Saturday mornings, and family dinners for generations. Now it serves as a grim symbol of how Trump-era policies gutted American sovereignty for short-term corporate gains. In the end, it's not just about breakfast cereal, it's about who we are as a nation. Are we a country where billionaire CEOs loot and flee while workers are left with pamphlets? Are we a country where dangerous chemicals seep into our children's food while regulators look the other way? Are we a country that sells out its people under the guise of America First while enabling the very outsourcing it claims to oppose? Donald Trump didn't drain the swamp, he fed it, and now the American people are left to starve on empty shelves while billionaire traders grow fatter than ever. This isn't leadership. This is the silent collapse of a nation's dignity, engineered by those who claimed to be its champions. The cereal aisle is just the beginning. The real famine is moral.